This movie is based on true events. A body was accidentally found in a rice field in Indiana. The police cordoned off the scene. When Detective John arrived, a young girl was lying cold on the ground. John looked gently at the girl. She was the girl who had been missing for days. This was clearly a brutal murder. Grief not only swept through the veteran detective, but also left the beautiful girl with only her back forever. According to the eyewitness, he saw a man come out of here in the distance, then jumped into a van and drove away. It was nighttime. He couldn't see the person's face or the color of the vehicle, but he was sure it was a Dodge. John asked him how he could be so sure. The man said he was a mechanic, so he could tell by the look of it. John nodded heavily. A year passed. There was still no progress in the case. It was then that another officer's report caught his attention. John quickly contacted the man. The man said that two 14-year-old girls were pedaling their bicycles. They were approached by a perverted old man in a van and was making obscene remarks and even tried to take them away. John rushed to confirm the model of the vehicle. It was a gray Dodge, and it was registered in Indiana because the girls memorized the license plate. After that it can be easily traced. Although the girls called the police, but the guy never showed up again. The male police officer just dismissed it as a common harassment case. Then John threw the search. John found similar reports in 3 different areas. It seems to be the same car. The owner's name was also found to be Jack. Since it was out of his jurisdiction, John then asked his superiors for instructions and then contacted the police department in Jack's area. They also seemed to be impressed with the man. According to his description, Jack had an oddly shaped beard, liked to reenact on the battlefield, and he goes around reenacting the Civil War with the others. If they were in Indiana, that means he's got a big connection to this case. But to perform such a show they needed to apply for a local permit. John's investigation later revealed that there was indeed a show the day before the murder. Although it is only an inference, John was convinced that this was the suspect. Then he contacted the local police again, and also found this man named Jack. John looked at the man in front of him. In order to make the conversation go smoothly, he complimented Jack on his beard. Then he began to ask further questions, but Jack's answers were always vague, which amused the local police, because that's the kind of man he was. Not only perfunctory but also not quite right in the head. Obviously they don't believe Jack would do such a thing. John wondered if the guy was pretending on purpose. He first asked about the recent complaints from some of the girls, but Jack said it was all a misunderstanding. He was just asking them for directions, but the girls made jokes about his looks, so he made a few jokes back, and they thought it meant something else. Apparently they didn't get the joke. Jack made sure he didn't mean to hurt them. The officer next to him casually remarked that it was in a dream. John was confused. The officer asked Jack to tell them himself. It turns out that when a complaint was filed, the local police investigated Jack. Jack always said he seemed to kill girls in his dreams, but they were just dreams. John then asked her what kind of dream she had. The man began to express himself. It felt like the soul had left the body and did something bad. This kind of answer gave John a bit of a headache. He hurriedly took out a photo of the murdered girl for Jack to confirm, but then Jack saw the photo and suddenly became agitated. He became anxious and tapped on the table and wanted to go home. The others calmed him down. When John and the local police discussed it later, they thought it was impossible for John to have done this because he's severely mentally challenged. Unless John could find evidence, he couldn't interrogate Jack like this. If